pen for the other girl. I'm like, what? And I'm like looking up on the internet how to use this thing, and they're like, oh, inject it directly into the. Yeah, she just goes, here you go, like it's nothing. I'm like, there's no instructions on the box. I'm like,
no.
I'm like looking it up online. I'm like, how do you
we
use
know,
this
Rob?
EpiPen?
It's there's an orange and blue on the EpiPen. John,
orange
for
to the
future
thigh, blue to the sky.
Boom.
Yeah, you just stab it. I'm like, I didn't know.
Well, you
how.
don't
Do I
just
stab
you don't
into
just
her heart?
stab it. Like this is no.
Yeah, you gotta
no.
be.
This is not Pulp Fiction. You're not like.
I was thinking the Rock. You know when Nicolas Cage like stabbed himself in the chest with that needle.
Here's the thing: people have stabbed themselves with the blue part on their hand when they're stabbing it to other people. So it's like that's why they have to do it the other way around to tell you. You know, blue to the sky, orange to the thigh, because people have done it the reverse and stabbed themselves with the pen.
It's in their hand. They're like,
the pen is supposed to go like
working.
this. You put the pen in, and then you put your thigh, and then you put it down because when you push down, the needle comes out. So people have screwed up.
I was given no primer. I was just handed an EpiPen like it was like an everyday thing. Here's an EpiPen in case this girl.
John, to be fair, it is an everyday thing now for most kids. It's like one of those things where back when we were kids, it was like tough it out. Like you got something, just walk it off. Now it's like, oh no, here's the EpiPen. It's like, oh,
he's having an allergic reaction.
Yeah, if you had a reaction to like strawberries, your mom would just wash your mouth out and rinse it out with water.
Wash your mouth out and lie down for a bit.
Yeah.
You're like, oh, okay, all right, we'll see what happens.
Stop
Now it's
baby.
Like, stop. Baby, you're a baby. Stop being a baby.
Mom, I'm 19. I can't breathe.
Well, welcome everyone back to the Heroes World Quarantine podcast. That was your fun little triage into medical allergies. So good times. Thank you so much for joining us. This is your
for the record, we weren't making fun of people with allergies. We were talking about people who actually, because we all have them. So there we go.
I have allergies, so that's I can do these things. So I'm going to say that out loud. So, I'm allowed to make jokes about peanut allergies because I got a peanut allergy. Okay, so welcome everyone. Welcome everyone to the Heroes World podcast. Again, this is your podcast where we talk about all things pop culture and comic books and superheroes and all that fun jazz. With us as always, host here, Stupe. With us as always is the owners and proprietors of the Heroes World store in Markham, Ontario, both Andre and John. Please say hello.
Howdy, folks.
Hello, everybody.
And of course, with us as well, the Prince of Mischief, Rob, aka the S-Dog, aka Mr. Godet.
Good morning, everybody.
Fresh haircut.
Yes, thank you. Fresh haircut. Also, not freshly awake. We are recording this as the time has jumped forward. So if we're a little punchy this morning, this is why. We've lost an hour.
I like how you think we're not all old men. I went to bed immediately at 10 o'clock last night. I was like, what?
You change your clocks outside, like, all right, now it's 11.
Well, staying past 10 o'clock is a young person's game. I need to go to bed right immediately. I'm like, I'm out, guys. Yeah,
you send me a text at 11. You awake?
Yo, dude, this guy, I'll try to text Rob at like 7 o'clock. His phone will, on an iPhone, it already shows you when you're in nighttime mode. He's already in nighttime mode at like 7 o'clock in the freaking evening.
9:45.
What you don't see is Rob is wearing one of those, his pajamas. He has one of those light sleeping caps. So he's already like, put it on and he's like, ooh. Got that.
If anyone rocks that, that's awesome.
he's got his cup of sleepy time tea and he's just like sipping and he's like, good night, boys. I'm gone. So he is as if it was in the 16th century in England. He has a full nightgown that's basically a giant muumuu and then a hat as well that he gets ready to sleep.
What's the reasoning behind the hat? Is it to keep your head warm or is it just to complete the look that you're like, this is nighttime?
I think it's a combination.
They didn't have central heating back then.
Yeah.
They didn't have central heating, John.
So they're like, we got to keep our heads warm.
It's just funny. I'm like, is it actually keep your head warm or just for the look?
John, have you been to London anytime in the last 6 years? Because the last time I went, I can tell you the malls don't have central heat. Like you walk and everything's damn cold. Like the houses are built so long ago that most houses don't have central heating, or if it is, it's old timey like piping through hot water and heat. Like the houses are old, man. So buildings are old, and there's not always heat in these buildings. So
I'm getting out of this conversation that if the hat was used for style purposes, John would want one. That's kind of what I'm getting out of this.
I kind of feel like it's
asking. He's like, yo, if it's just for like style, I might want to rock a nighttime cap.
John just wants to see if he can get some sort of logo put on top of it. He just doesn't want a classic silk one.
Yeah, you can get the different little palm that sits on the top.
Hey, this is a great Etsy / Heroes World opportunity. If you wanna make Heroes World sleeping caps,
sleeping tutu,
Heroes World nightcaps.
Heroes World nightcaps, bring it back, baby. This is it. Like
20 years in business, keep your head warm.
Now, you can make a full Heroes World branded sleeping gown and cap and sell it in a combo.
Yeah.
And that's it.
I feel it's an untapped market. There's no starter nightcaps or new whatever Nike sleep caps. So.
Not yet, but this is
way to go. Way to give away the idea for free, John. Way to go, bud.
This could have been our, gateway key out of the pandemic, but you just tell people they want a Nike one now instead of a Heroes World one. I'm just disappointed.
Yeah, and to be fair, it would be like a Bape one, John. So if you're gonna go, or like it would be a Supreme nightcap. So this is the hype beast would go that route. So you really missed your way to maximize your selling capabilities. But nonetheless, here we go. We have a various array of topics today.
We're talking about sleeping caps.
This is what happens when we don't have a TV show to talk about. We're all over the place.
Okay. Let me start. All right. On this week's episode of Wandavision.
What happened?
Last we saw
the best episode yet.
Oh, I said to John, I did not miss not watching it this week. I didn't have that void. When a show ends,
don't throw too much shade. No.
I missed
some people like this show.
It's a season finale, and I kind of missed not watching this week. I didn't have that sense of longing.
I missed it because they would have been able to fix all the problems with the last episode. So
yeah,
I missed
it.
They could keep on wrapping this up, Also, the pandemic screwed it up because they couldn't get a lot of people they wanted to fill in the blanks. So that's the excuse, and I'm
John
going
just
with
said
it.
Darcy. Wouldn't it have been hilarious if they did release a special episode this week and it was just her for 40 minutes slowly driving through the town?
100% on board. 100% on board.
That'd be high concept. Yeah.
Yep. Her high concept driving. It's like Desert Bus, the old video game. If you remember the Penn and Teller game, where we had to drive to Las Vegas and
then
back
a bug
from
hits
LA.
the window.
And then bug hits the window. Yeah, it's for all you old people out there that know Desert Bus. There it is. Okay, so as we jump, we're going to start with Andre as the topic, and as we all know, I've spoken with Andre. He's going to recommend something for us to, pick up this week. So Andre, what do you got for us?
All right, so hey, this is actually, you think we plan this stuff, but we really don't. So we just talked about WandaVision, and the whole world was kind of, shall we say, mesmerized and tuning in to learn about magic in the Marvel universe. So I think about 2 weeks ago, we got a great comic book released in trade paperback called Strange Academy. And I'm going to pop a picture up for you guys at home. And for those of you who are listening to us, you can definitely Google it because it is a beautiful book. And it is all about the youth who have magic in the Marvel universe. So this is kind of like your Xavier's School for Gifted Youngsters, except this is for kids who know magic, and they must be trained, and the headmaster is none other than Doctor Strange. So we're introduced to a whole bunch of new fun characters. We have an actual frost giant, 2 Asgardians, the son of Dormammu. We've got pixies, we've got fairies, we've got demons, and they are all in this school together. Now, if you think that is just enough, it's just the tip of the iceberg because it's set in the magical place of New Orleans. And more impressive than the roster of kids are the teachers. We have every powerhouse of magic in the Marvel universe teaching at this school. So I'm going to pop up another image here. And this is just some
Brother
of
Voodoo in the background.
The alumni here. So we've got Scarlet Witch teaching. We've got Hellstorm. We've got Loki. We've got Brother Voodoo. We've got Magic. And they all teach these wacky, weird courses like Hell 101, Ancient, Powerful, Mystical Items. This book is
what about Shaman? You didn't
fun.
About
Shaman. Yes, and Shaman. Yes, Shaman from Alpha Flight.
Alpha Flight, yeah.
So I highly recommend this book, not only for people who are into Marvel Comics, but those who are not, because these are new characters and you get to learn about the fun that is magic. You learn a little bit about magic. So if you were like that from WandaVision, you definitely want to check this out. But also, you're going to be taken back because these are kids in a new boarding school and they still have the troubles of regular teenage kids, and they're meeting these new friends for the first time, and there's rivalries and stuff like that. Lots of fun and mischief happens, and just like any good, shall we say, movie or story that deals with a school, there is some secret behind everything. So I'm going to leave that on the floor, not going to spoil anything. Highly recommend this book, drawn by really talented artists that I've admired for a long time. Humberto Ramos, solid guy, great art, passionate artist. So it's very fun and kinetic, and it's written by Scotty Young. They're currently on issue 9. This trade paperback takes you to the first 6 issues. We've got all of it in stock at Heroes World. So come on by and check it out, or pick it up at your local store and enjoy this book. Like I said, if you liked WandaVision and you were kind of, they've whet your appetite for magic, definitely check out Strange Academy by Marvel Comics.
Is there a sorting hat? Is there Quidditch? Like, how is this close to Harry Potter? I need to know how close are they, you know, are there houses?
They do have the same similar jackets like the boarding school. There's no Quidditch yet, but they do have, like I said, there's super funny moments where the teacher will just be like, oh, today's pop quiz, get this genie back in the lamp without using any magic, you know. So there's lots of cool and fun stuff that goes on. The character designs, like I said, are really fun, and it's just hilarious. You got like the 2 Asgardians, and then a frost giant shows up, and then they're like, yo, what the hell? And so again, the enemies of the Asgardians, the frost giants, they instantly, you know, want to fight. So it's cool, it's clever, fun. But like I said, there's a little bit of that serious underpinning to it. So yeah, I really
saw
really
the Neil Gaiman seal of approval on it. So, you know, maybe hopefully write, as he is the OG Book of Magic.
Book of Magic, yeah.
It's another.
Will it be a problem though at the very end of the first arc when we find out it was Agatha all along?
It's gonna happen.
Spoilers, Rob. Spoilers.
So great. It's so great. And yeah, the bunny, it was the bunny all along. So yeah. There we go. Thank you, Andre. That was great.
No problem.
So it's just like if you love the X-Men or the Future Foundation or the Young Avengers, it's just another IP of kids. Here we go.
Yeah, it's a hot spec book as well too. They're thinking that it's going to be a TV or some type of property coming up.
It's going to lock Benedict Cumberbatch down for more movies. You know, it works really well when these actors have young kids. They're like, I got to make a movie they can watch. So just hold it out a bit longer, and then you know, I can do this. So good times. All right, we jump to our next topic. After that, we've talked a lot about crossovers in the past, so no surprise, we're back at that topic here. So we're talking about DC/Marvel crossovers. I threw out this topic to everyone and gave them a little time to prep, but I wanted everyone to come up with an idea. So to pick their a Marvel character, a DC character, to do a team up. So this is a tag team combination, and give me your idea. Who would they be? Who are the creator, artist, writer? You don't have to do either of those either, but just tell me who they are, the two heroes, and go, John. Who do you got?
Oh, I'm first. All right, cool.
Yeah, you're first.
All right. So in this style of one of my favorite genres, which is the buddy comedy style. So a la 48 Hours, a la Men in Black, and I'm gonna mix it up with Time Cop and Quantum Leap feel. And in honor of Stu's birthday, I had to include his guy. So it is going to star Booster Gold. And teamed up with him is actually going to be Deadpool. I know Andre's not a fan of Deadpool, and some people don't like Deadpool. But I think this would
the Canadian duel. This is a Canadian team up.
I feel like this would be a fun team book where Booster Gold is like the straight man, kind of accomplish his missions, and Deadpool is either along for the ride or he has some type of knowledge which Booster Gold has to kind of get from him and go, oh yeah, I remember I did something here, and then they got to go and fix stuff or whatever. And then for art and story, I actually want to use Sean Murphy, who did a book called Chrononauts. So he kind of can do technology and fun stuff like that. And I want to give him an assist of Joe Kelly, which wrote some of the early Deadpool that was really well received, a little bit more of the kind of cleaner comedy element. So I don't want this to be over the top Deadpool. I do want him to be a little bit wacky, but a little bit cleaner. So that was my idea, because I want to do a buddy comedy book, not like your typical action or kind of super serious book. I want some humor in there.
On brand, John. It's on brand for you. So great, good times. Rob, what do you got for us?
If you see me pivoting in my chair, for those watching on YouTube, it's because I didn't pre-plan this. So I've literally just come up with this right now.
But we don't want to unveil the curtain, but I kind of gave these only 48 hours, so maybe that wasn't enough
48
time.
hours. It wasn't 48 hours. You gave us like less than 12. We actually 11. We lost an hour. We've already established this.
Well, if you didn't go to sleep at 7 in the freaking you would have more time.
No, Stu went to sleep at 7. We've already established this. Okay, so this is what my suggestion is going to be. I want to take Nightwing from the DC universe, and I want to pair him with Daredevil from Marvel. Oh. You have two characters who are both acrobatics. They've both sustained loss in their life. I think they both have a very similar mentality, but I want to do something different with the art style. First of all, I want Chip Zdarsky to write this, because I'm loving his Daredevil run, and I think he could obviously nail Dick Grayson in the same vein. But what I want to do is I actually want to use Dan Jurgens to draw Nightwing, but I want to pair it up with the current Marvel Daredevil artist of Marco Tichetto? Because I think I would love to see a comic book where you have two different art styles combined, because they're coming from two different worlds, as opposed to having one artist draw the whole thing. I know that it would be vastly weird, but if you're combining these two worlds, then I think that the best way to do it is to have two different artists drawing their characters. And I think Dan Jurgens is a really good Nightwing and has in the past. So I would like to see that. And I want to see them teaming up I don't want any big world galactic ending story. I want them on a literally in a small, like, Nightwing came from Bloodhaven, or a lot of his singular series was in Bloodhaven. Obviously Hell's Kitchen, so it's got to be street level crime that they're trying to solve, that ties into both worlds.
So. Like they're trying to find their missing Blockbuster video card, and that's what they're trying to do together.
They're trying to understand what happened to the Dewey Decimal System in libraries, because it was really the only decimal system that allowed.
I think they should put together their own circus act.
That's the thing.
Daredevil and the Flying Grayson, the legacy of the Flying Graysons.
You know,
the Frying Graysons. That's the name of
the Frying Graysons. They also run a food truck on the side.
It's a breakfast joint. Yeah.
No, so the mystery is they run this circus.
I would totally name
and
a
crime
breakfast
happens.
Frying Graysons, and all you do is just breakfast all day long.
And everyone wears a domino mask.
Rob is ready for when he moves into his next phase of his life, when he owns a food truck, and then he starts selling breakfast burritos called the Frying Graysons.
No, it would literally just be fried eggs, because I have no other ability to make anything else.
You know, it's going to be a couple of chimichangas and whatnot. So it's going to be Deadpool inspired. It's going to be great.
Bowls of boiled eggs. Would you like salt or no salt?
So that's what I just came up with. So I think I nailed it.
Yeah. All right. Here we go.
Superhero landing.
Superhero landing. Andre, it's up to you.
Right. So Rob just basically.
I think Andre got his idea.
That's great. He stole your idea even better.
Totally. Like I literally was gonna do Batman and Daredevil by.
That's so boring.
By Chip Zdarsky, but with my boy Mike Del Mundo doing the art.
So boring, Andre. That's so boring. At least John didn't pick up the greatest superhero in the DC universe. Like, can you go even more boring? Can you pick Superman and pick like Captain America, like another two boring superheroes to put together as they talk about?
Did you say Batman was boring? Is that what you're
getting? That guy can do everything. He can do everything. He cannot be stopped.
How about Andre does Dark Claw, the Wolverine Batman amalgamation, and
there's no
else.
situation that Batman can't solve, because Batman can do everything. Like, he's boring. He's even more boring than Superman.
Are you serious?
100%.
He's great.
You're serious?
Batman's great.
He can do everything.
Batman's
He can do everything. He's done everything, and he's also had the power to be the smartest person on the planet with the
Mobius
stupid
chair.
chair. So, like, what is there left for him to do? It's boring with Bruce Wayne as Batman.
You know what? You should
All
just
right,
retire. That's
so
what you should
Stu's
do.
challenging me to pick.
Someone different. Don't pick the
so-
Trinity. Don't pick
How
the
about a villain
Trinity
team up?
Don't
Put a
pick
villain
the
team up of some
Trinity.
kind.
Okay. All right.
because they're boring.
So I'm trying to pick characters that I love and I want to see writers tackle these characters. All right.
Like
so-
how many
so-
books are Batman and Superman and Wonder Woman in, and you're gonna throw another one with her in it? It's like,
Yeah, because because I want this book to sell and I want people to want to come to the shop and give me the Batman whatever book. Okay, I'm gonna pick one. Let me see here. I am going to do a. Let me see here.
so far, I'm gonna let you ponder that. So far, John has got the most creative duo right now, 100%. Not even without Booster Gold, it's the best one so far. So let's give Andre another second. to
Okay, so
ponder his
I'm gonna
options.
do a Thelma and Louise.
Ooh,
There we
uh,
go.
A
Hey,
Thelma and
Yeah.
Louise style on the run, framed for a theft that they did not commit. And
nice.
I am going to put
Starring
together.
Batman.
I'm gonna put together. The choice is it's not like fantastic, okay, because it's on the spot. But I'm gonna put together Catwoman and Black Cat. Okay,
That's good. No, that's
So
good. That's a good one.
they
Good
they
synergy.
get
Yeah.
framed
My
for
two cats.
stealing something, and
Yeah.
it's totally not them, but they were both at the the big
The gala or whatever.
hoopla
Yeah.
gala.
No
alibis. They have no
and they were
alibi.
there. Maybe they also get stood up by the same date. They the one guy
Bruce
went
Wayne.
there. Bruce Wayne went there and had both of them at the same time. He's like, well, what? Right? Okay. So who is going to write this? Okay, we need somebody who's got some really comedic stuff, but can also write a little bit of some fun action. So I think I'm going to go with Devin Grayson, known for stuff like Harley Quinn, and
You can
some
still go Mike Del
Catwoman
Mundo
stuff.
for art. It's not like he can't do.
Oh no,
can't do-
yeah, we could still do Del Mundo, but I think since he's already done Elektra, I kind of wanted to stretch his wings on something else. So let me see, who would I tap to do?
Mike's like, you're gonna cut me out of checks, yo. You're gonna cut me out of checks, bro. Okay.
Hey, Mike's blowing up, man. We saw the album of the year cover, right?
Yeah.
Did you guys see that? Rap out. That's
Yeah,
so
Freddie
super.
Gibbs,
Shout
he was
out
on
to
the Jimmy
Mike.
Fallon.
Congratulations.
Yeah. That's
So
everything he's ever wanted. Yes, but still,
Yeah. Who are we
you gotta
getting
get some
to
checks. You got
draw this. The easy shot would be like J. Scott Campbell, right? But I think he's only doing covers. So let's see somebody who could do some pretty cool interiors that I would like to see. And I think I am going to go with I want somebody who's not usually does that style, that would be overly I don't want it to be overly sexualized, even though we've got two sexy characters, but I want there to draw some kinetic energy in these chase scenes. Got to be able to draw
not
cars.
Charlie Jones.
So
from,
while you're figuring this
Catwoman?
out, do you guys think that he'll actually have Batman in it, and would they call it Bat and the Cats?
Oh, yeah.
then we can throw another cat and do that. Okay, I'm gonna tap my friend Andy Belanger, who's got a book coming out called Mother Trucker, coming out soon. This guy can draw everything. He's drawing big rigs, he's drawing sexy, powerful women, he's drawing crazy tech. So yes, he's going to get a chance to draw Catwoman. He's going to get a chance to draw Black Cat in some high-speed chases and also some crazy cool cityscapes and stuff as they maybe travel across the continent of the United States in a run for their lives. So Andy, you're going to get to draw even more beautiful, bold, badass women in this DC Marvel crossover.
Fancy. Here we go. All right, great.
What car would it be?
What kind of car? Well, definitely going to be a convertible.
You're really cribbing off the Thelma and Louise. All right.
And,
it's an homage. It's an homage. This is what Andre calls lazy writing. He's just gonna pick something else from something else. It's perfect.
An Impala.
Andre now
Impala.
gets it. He's like, wait a second, I just copied what someone
No,
else did. And
lazy writing
a red
is
Corvette.
when you put something in that just clearly doesn't have the place. You know, there's a difference between an homage and lazy writing, Stu. You got to know that. Lazy writing is when you say take off your jetpack because you don't want the character to be able to fly at the end of the episode, right? So, but anyways, that's my pitch. I'm sticking with it.
Andre's
All right, that's good. I like
Andre's
that.
gonna have a scene where they have to run out of the house and then they leave their backpack behind with their costumes and like, oh
That
no,
was
we don't
pretty
have
good for-
costumes. We're gonna do next, and then
good
they got to do
balance,
something
Bob.
else out because they got to flee the police or you know whether it is probably is it in the DC universe or the Marvel universe? Because if it's in the Marvel one, they got to flee Shield. So maybe Shield is there and they got to flee from the scene and they leave their crap behind. So
Yeah, which universe would I put that one in? Well, I would probably want to put it in
Marvel because there's more. There's
in Marvel because Marvel's got the real cities, right?
Well, if you're gonna do it that way, because Marvel, because Shield and Sword are there, and Superman wouldn't show up and just eviscerate everyone because there's no one of that. The Flash
doesn't
can just show
eviscerate
up and just
people.
capture both of them in like 2 seconds flat. So you want to do a universe where they could actually get away and run because a 2-minute call, Batman, Superman, or the Flash would show up and it's over. It's like, oh yeah, this run is done. It's like the Flash shows up. All right, well the car is dismantled and they're just sitting there on the pavement with handcuffs on. So you might as well do the one where they don't have.
Actually,
OP.
that would be a really fun kind of idea. Pitch like a story and just say who ends it by page 2. You know.
Well,
in Andre's version, Guy Gardner plays the Brad Pitt role from Thelma and Louise.
Yeah. Yeah, the answer is it's Superman, Andre. Every single time it's Superman.
No, but
Who ends it with
obviously
one page?
we couldn't do that for every one of them. Like because
Right.
Green Lantern could end things, Iron Man could end things really fast.
Just put in the
Thor-
amalgam universe. That way it doesn't matter.
Yeah.
Okay, here we go. So great. Thank you, everyone. So we've talked a lot about WandaVision. Rob is clearly happy that show is complete and finished. There have been a lot of TV shows that we have seen in the past few years. I have complained about Arrow. I have had delight with one season of The Flash. I've had super fun times watching Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. So I wanted to go back to the panel and ask, you know, now that there's an oncoming storm of more additional live action TV shows, there have been some hits and misses. So I wanted to ask the panel, what is their favorite single season of a live action comic book TV show? So I don't want to go all 7 seasons of I want one single season. What is the best single season that you could recommend to someone to watch at this time right now? And you're like, this is perfect. John, you're up.
Okay.
What do you got?
So runner up, I'm not going to pick it, but Smallville season 1, definitely one of my all-time favorites. But I'm actually going to go with Arrow season 2, just because the tons of guests. Like we have I made a quick list. We have the Good Black Canary, which is the Sarah Lance character.
Yep.
We have Roy Harper shows up. We even have a Summer Glau character that appears. We have Andy Diggle getting his own storyline with Suicide Squad and a Deadshot character. We have Ra's al Ghul, League of Assassins. There's actually a lot of stuff that goes on in season 2. I actually had forgotten it all. Merlin
was that the
comes
Punching
back.
Glove season, or was that season 3 that it finally happened? That was
I think that doesn't. I don't think
3.
it's this season. Yeah. And
that was
then,
my favorite thing ever. But yes, carry on.
Yeah. And then you have this is the last of the island flashback. So when they were using this island gimmick was a really great gimmick they had. This was the end of it because then he traverses to a new
Ryu,
type of flashback after that. Yeah. And then they have the main villain who was absolutely great in this season, Manu Benu, the guy from Spartacus, Crixus. He playing Deathstroke. Like, so I thought he made a really cool villain. Shows up. He's in the flashbacks like throughout the season, and all of a sudden he actually shows up as the actual villain in the season. So I think this one, as far as and the action was solid. Like Stephen Amell threw in 120% effort. He lived that part, and it was almost basically a Batman show that we're never going to get for some bizarre reason. So I have to pick that as my favorite single season that has so many superhero things going on that it is definitively a superhero show.
Yep. Awesome. It's a good one. Rob?
I have a runner up as well, but I won't say it in case somebody picks it.
Look at you being nice. John just said it.
So nice. I know none of you guys are gonna pick Smallville season 1.
Well, I'll come back to you, Rob. But
because I had a tough time really kind of deciding what was my overall. This season I'm of the show I'm picking. It is. This season I'm picking though, and I'll tell you why. It's season 1 because I feel that every subsequent season, we're currently on season 7 right now, and my son and I are both we're not fans of what's happening. But we're
great.
We're constantly judging every season based on number 1.
Yeah.
And I started thinking about when I was trying to decide, well, what am I going to pick? That's the one season that he's watched 1,000 times. I've watched it quite a few times. Yep. I mean, it introduces, Barry Allen, which is a bit more of a Wally West Barry Allen than
hybrid,
right. But there's that moment towards the end of the season. I think it was like episode 18 or whatever, that almost acts like a season finale. When he's running back and forth, creating the wall of water, and then he ends up going back in time, and he doesn't understand, like, how did I just do this? And at that moment, he had kissed Iris and told her he was the Flash, and then he erased it all, and by going back in time, which he didn't know he could even do. And the whole idea of it was, to run, Barry, run, to get faster. And then you realize who the main villain is. He's been, a wolf in sheep's clothing for the entire season, and that season finale ends off, and you're just like, oh my God. So I was a huge fan of the Flash TV series from 1990 with John Wesley Shipp. I used to own it on, the movie was
You're
the
only a fan
pilot.
because there's nothing else that existed at that standpoint. That's why
right.
it was.
That scene was fire.
But I remember back then it was $1 million an episode, and they canceled it because it was just too expensive. Now that's just par for the course. So anyway, I would say The Flash season 1, it's currently on Netflix in Canada. I believe it's also on Netflix in the US, but Netflix in Canada, if you haven't seen this show, you owe it to yourself, or if you've only seen later seasons, go back and watch this first one. Every single character is hitting it on all cylinders. No, race car pun intended. And it's really weird because usually these shows, you get into season 3, 4, and 5 is where they really kind of find their footing. And do their best, and yet for this show, season 1 was by far the best. So I'm going to go season 1 of The Flash.
It is the reveal of, and spoilers for Harrison Wells and that whole thing. It was incredible. It was a really cool.
It had a really good villain.
Yeah, had the best villain because Zoom is fantastic, and just the menacing nature of Zoom and Harrison Wells. The economy of the two characters was great, and I can't shout out enough to Joe Canadian himself, who does such a good job. Tom Cavanaugh, who, if you haven't watched his other
Scrubs.
show, no, not Scrubs. Scrubs is great, but when he plays the lawyer on Stucky Bowling Alley, I forget the name of that show again.
Was it Ed?
Ed, yes, Ed, where he plays a big town lawyer who comes home and finds his wife having an affair, and he moves back to his hometown, and Julie Bowen is there, and he owns the bowling alley. He's also a lawyer. He's incredible in the show, and there are peaks and big dips in Flash, but season 1 was great because they introduced a lot of fun things, and the characters, it was a breath of fresh air considering how dark Arrow was, and I got tired of that quick. I was like, I can't. Brooding can only go so long.
Yeah. What season was Arrow on? Because the Flash backdoor cameo is in Arrow season 2.
It was
maybe season 3.
It was a backdoor pilot because he showed up in the Arrow universe, and then at the end he got electric because he was kind of like a romantic something for Felicity.
He flirts with Felicity. Yeah. So my pick actually leads and makes Rob's pick possible. Yeah. So mine lays the groundwork. So therefore I win.
No, because Rob's pick of the Flash goes even before your pick. So without the Flash, when he wore that velvet costume, there wouldn't be an Arrow. So
was there one episode where there's a Flash in a blue costume?
Yes. Yeah, that's when you're talking about the 1991 version of the Flash. They actually cloned the Flash. He was a clone, and he was called like Icarus. No, what was it?
Icarus. That'd be cool.
Anyways, it was a bad episode because he was, even though physically he was the same size, and mentally he was a 2-year-old. So it was the actor kind of portraying. It was not a good episode.
And then you got and then Rob has the Mark Hamill trickster thing going on there. So that was a good to see good old Luke Skywalker again on TV. So that was
his proto Joker voice.
that was the time when we were like, what happened to Mark Hamill? Like, there he is.
He's wearing a unitard.
Luke Skywalker himself wearing a unitard with dyed hair, prancing on the streets. It's like
in a funky domino mask. All right.
Oh dear God. Yeah. So yeah, I Flash
Okay.
was great, but now it's season 7 and oof. Like many shows. All right, Andre. It's up to you. What do you have for us?
All right. So you guys all should know by now that I really like stuff that sticks to the source material, where characters look like look like
The comic,
the characters that I've loved in the comics and followed in the comics, follows the storyline as best as they can, not to deviate or to stick in lazy writing plot devices and stuff, and also to maybe stay true to the spirit of the IP that they're
Lois and Clark, isn't it?
transitioning to another form of entertainment. Unfortunately, this show only got 1 season, but it was by far one of the closest TV series.
Wait, before you say it, can you have a guess, Rob? If it's 1 season, do you have a guess what it is?
Well, for my instinct would say Young Indiana Jones, but I think that got 2 seasons.
He's not a superhero.
Well, but I know that Andre would argue he is a superhero.
That show was
Single
great. That was
season
dope. Don't.
that
Or
sticks to the
was it
source
Briscoe
material.
County Jr.? Because I don't think it counts either. Because
Was it Generation X? Was it Gen X?
Get out of here.
Did that have?
Have you
13
watched that?
Get out of
No,
here.
but it's you, Andre. Your picks are.
No,
I
he's
don't
not going
know.
to pick Generation X.
No.
Not in a
Mutant
million.
I'm not
X.
picking
It's
Generation
Mutant X
X,
either. It's terrible.
Mutant X.
What is-
Blade.
Blade. No, not Blade. Not
Which
Witchblade.
Blade? No,
Not
Witchblade.
Witchblade. That got
Wait,
more
give
than
us a
one.
hint.
Witchblade with Yancy Butler.
Winona Earp. Remember that one?
No, give us a hint. Give us a hint.
It's based on an Image comic.
You only had 1 season.
Ooh, Image.
What the hell?
Do you want another hint?
Yeah.
Yes.
Rick Remender. He's the writer,
Is it?
creator.
It's not Stumptown, is it?
No,
Nope,
that was
that's,
ABC.
That's Rucka.
Right.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's 1 season. Yeah,
That was only 1 season.
it was 1 season. But yeah, that's a comic book, but not.
Come on,
superhero.
John, you got this.
Oh, Image. Oh, I don't even know.
Image.
Really,
Robert Kirkman?
really cool trade paperback covers with a monochromatic. Each cover is monochromatic,
Oh, Jesus.
and
No,
it
Andre,
covers
you gotta-
different
you gotta-
ages.
you gotta
It
say it,
covers
you
different ages.
Yeah,
Starts
wait,
with nothing.
gotta
You
just
got
say it.
nothing.
No,
Well,
you gotta
Rob, you might not have read it, so that could be it.
Just go, Andre. What is it?
Deadly Class.
I never
saw it,
yeah.
Yeah.
With Benedict
So-
Wong and
Yeah.
Yeah.
That adaptation is what an adaptation should strive to be.
Mhm.
The characters, the actors that they pick to play the parts not only look the part, but when you look at them as the actors, at first they don't, but they literally made them up or dressed them up in order to carry that. Deadly Class is a show about, or a comic that was about misfit kids or rambunctious kids of usually upper class kids or kids that had like a kind of unique talent, and they get put in this underground school to be trained as assassins. Okay, but these aren't young kids. These are like, probably high school level or maybe college level. And of course, you then have all the rivalries of the different cliques and stuff. And these guys are getting trained to be like, says, assassins, weapons training, martial arts training, chemical training. So when these guys, when they have a beef with each other, it can go wrong. And it was just a the comic book series is fantastic. I think they're on volume 9, I want to say. Unfortunately, we don't sell a ton of copies, but that's not because it's not good. I think just people, there's so much out there, and some people have probably, just it's been glossed by or whatever, but it's such a cool book. The show was serious. It had some great action, but it also had that vibe that, that teen angst vibe and stuff. and damn, was it dark in parts. So for me personally, I like a little bit more of a serious show. I know Stu doesn't like the dark stuff, but again, this show, man, when the rivalry happens over a girl in that season, damn, you're like, what the hell is going on? Like, these guys are about like to murder each other. But yeah, very, very smartly written. Rick Remender, this guy's a master of all genres. I don't think he gets enough credit for it. This guy can write sci-fi. He can write fantasy. He can write this kind of stuff, which is like, I would say, crime noir and stuff like that. So fantastic writer. Unfortunately, only got one season. That's all our loss. Maybe it was because it was on sci-fi and a lot of stuff doesn't get traction there.
Was it
but
because
it's
of
not
COVID
because
too? Like, I felt like that was a
wasn't
thing.
good. So
No.
if you still want to check it out, I say it's well worth it. And if you like it, hey, guess what? There's more in the comic book store. There's more in the comic. So it's not like you'll never know where this story goes. You'd be like, damn, get me those trade paperbacks after watching that show.
I was trying to find, 'cause it was streaming not too long ago, but I've just been going through, and it's on. You can't. You have to purchase a season. It's nowhere.
Yeah, they've done a good
Sci-Fi
job of
doesn't have a
burying
streaming
it.
service.
Yeah.
Sorry.
Does Sci-Fi not have a streaming service, or it's not on one of the other ones?
No, we don't have sci-fi up here in Canada.
Oh, okay. Yeah, that's true. Yeah.
Yeah. So, to you think, Andre, I don't mind a dark show. I just was tired of the darkness of Arrow. It's
You're
like,
right.
I mean, like that was the dark. Like, Andre, we watched 15 seasons of Supernatural. I'm fine with darkness. I just need it for a purpose.
But you're right too, because the darkness in Arrow didn't match the character that we knew in the comic. Yes, there were dark moments, but Oliver Queen is intrinsically not that dark brooding guy.
He's a
like
good-hearted
Batman.
person. Yeah, a good-hearted person who, at the end of the day, still made jokes and quibbles while he knows he's wearing a Robin Hood costume.
He's Robin Hood, yeah.
He's making jokes along the way. It was just artificial angst, and I could only do so much of him doing a salmon ladder. I'm like, I get it, you can do salmon ladders. So yeah. Anyways, he was just angry and sad for the sake of being angry.
Yeah, but you know what? Again, that's another show though, Stu, where I think when you're ordering 22 to 24 episodes of the season, you're not doing it. You can't sustain it for that type of character, right? So
you know what? I will disagree there. I think if you go back and watch season 1 and 2 of Arrow, they probably thought they weren't getting any longer seasons, so they covered so much ground in the first 2 seasons, and then they're like, oh, wait a minute, we got 3 seasons, we got 4 seasons, so all of a sudden they had to spread it out. Whereas if they actually spread it out, if they sat down and said, hey, here is our timeline for 5 seasons, we want to get this to 5 seasons of syndication, and I know no show is planned like that, I get that, but if they did and they were able to spread out some of those plot lines, that would have been amazing. Like John said,
like a lot happens in season 2.
To be fair,
you can't top that.
No,
right?
To be fair, Andre, like, I'm sure they planned out 5 seasons, but we've seen with the instability of DC that they probably rushed out going, if we don't do it now, they may never let us touch.
No, exactly. I think that's exactly it.
The thing is, like, they used Deathstroke, but then they weren't allowed to use Deathstroke later. So they're like, squeeze them out now.
Same with the Suicide Squad.
I guess so. But what I'm saying is, if they were able, like, I still remember one of my favorite arcs in that show was when they brought in like the Huntress. Yeah. And I can't remember if that was season 2 or 3, but she was in it for like 2 episodes.
I think it's also in season 2. Yeah, like everything happens in season 2.
That could have been a character that they introduced in season 2. Yeah. She doesn't have the loss until season 3. Yeah. And then season 4, he trains her. Like, because she has that similar story. And then all of a sudden I'm watching that and I'm like, wow, the two of them they have so much in common via that show. I'm like, that they would have made a good couple for a while on the show until they realized, we're basically too much the same, and we needed each other to kind of heal ourselves to get through this trauma, because you've been through it, you can help me through it, and then they go this separate. But it was done in 2 episodes.
But I think, like, wow, to your point, Andre, they're rushing because here's the thing: like, you look at, they wanted to use Harley Quinn, they were allowed to use her voice, and they're like, and they had to shut it down. So I think to their credit, they're like, to push everything through those 2 seasons, they probably got headway that DC, Mr. Jeff Johns was like, you know what, you can't use these following characters, and they're like, by when can we squeeze Ra's al Ghul now, because we might not be able to do them later, and just squeak it in. So to their credit, they probably did what anyone did. It's like, you're not allowed to use these characters, we're gonna do it all in 2 seasons, suckers, and then that's it.
I think they had a lot of leeway because they did launch what was called the Arrowverse. Like it launched Flash and it
But
launched
I don't think
kind
it
of
was the
Supergirl.
plan.
And
that
then,
wasn't the plan.
I know it wasn't the plan, but I'm just saying, like if in hindsight they got to sit down and say, hey, we're gonna do this, I think they could have got it, because their build up to Amanda Waller and Suicide Squad made sense. It was decent.
Yeah.
It wasn't sure, parts of it felt like shoehorn, but then once you thought about it, you're like, oh yeah, I can kind of see it with what they are delivering, what they have delivered so far. I can see them, doing this. But also, like I said, like you they just brought in too much, tying Ra's al Ghul and tying,
but Andre, hindsight is
tying
2020.
Deathstroke to
if you were running the show, Andre, and you had an opportunity to do it, but you don't know whether you'll be able to do it in year 3, guess what? You're doing everything that they did. So you can't.
Agree,
you don't know the future.
Then,
we would have bought a whole bunch of masks before COVID if we would have been known and started selling them.
But
so
what I'm saying,
this is the thing.
Rob's
you don't
point,
know.
I don't think a show like this has a finite thing. I think if it's planned, it could have gone longer. And depending, no matter what we think of the last season or 2, it was a decision like Stephen Amell wasn't happy there anymore, right? So he was the one that didn't renew his contract. I don't know if we'll ever know why that is. Right?
He talks about it a lot.
Tired. Oh yeah, he
was tired, but I'm sure there was something.
He had some mental issues too.
It was still
he's been talking on it on several different podcasts. He was on Inside of You.
He mentioned that he would come back because of this whole COVID thing.
Yeah,
like,
it's just like So he was on Inside of You with Michael Rosenbaum, and
he had a panic attack.
And they shut the podcast down, and he came back like a few weeks later. Like he has some mental health things that he's dealing with, and he spoke of it out loud. But he was just like mentally just like done. He was tired. He couldn't do it anymore. And he was like, his wife lives in the US and flying back and forth between Vancouver, so there was things that happened. And just like with Michael Rosenbaum, I don't blame him. He did 8 seasons of Smallville, and he's like, I'm tired of shaving my head. So I get it. He's like, I'm done. Like, give me something else to do. So,
so they're always wearing a hat after season 5.
Yeah, like he could have nailed it, Andre, and put a cap on. He did in the season finale or the series finale of Smallville, and you're like, whoa, okay, like you're wearing a bald cap. But there's something different about having an actual shaved head than a bald cap. You can tell the difference. But this is what life is about. When you get 7 seasons, and then when you start after that, you start renewing, and the cost goes up, and the show changes drastically. Like it's either you stay on board or people just leave because the costs go exponentially higher. So yeah, I look at DC TV as like a unique situation based on how chaotic things have been. I give them more credit for what they've done than for the Marvel stuff, because the Marvel stuff is like, it's all together, and then Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D., no, it's not. And oh wait, we're gonna do Netflix. No, it's not. Like they are also just as a big of a mess. Yeah. Because they were like, oh, it's all together and we're going to tie the universe, and it was not. Yeah. So, that's where all the Marvel fans out there come at me, because it's not perfect.
Daredevil season 1 was good, I think. Daredevil season 1.
Yeah, but nobody picked any of the Netflix shows as their favorite because
it was a mess.
The closest I considered was Daredevil season 1.
Yeah.
No, season 2, Daredevil season 2 was actually decent.
Yeah.
Because they introduced a Punisher. Yeah. And that Punisher but that Punisher you got in Daredevil season 2 is the Punisher I wish we got for his subsequent 2 seasons on that TV show, because
did Punisher get 2 seasons?
And and it was brutal. He was not the Punisher. He was very about feelings and sadness. And I was like, come on, you punish people, right? Like,
wrong show.
Yeah, so, the Netflix shows are, I think the Netflix have the highest of highs in terms of action sequences. Like when you come to the hallway fight scenes, I've never once thought of
the prison fight scene
of a DC show on the CW. It was like, I remember that fight sequence. I've never thought of any fight sequences outside of the Flash fighting King Shark, and that was slow-mo as he punched a CGI shark. And I'm like, oh, it was cool. Or he fought a giant gorilla, but it looked really, really bad. I'm like, oh, he's finally fighting
Gorilla Grodd.
Oh, Gorilla Grodd, but Gorilla Grodd looks so bad. It's like, that's the one thing about the Netflix show, whereas the fighting sequences, you can't complain. They look amazing.
They were amazing. Yep.
But the story was such
So
a
until you get to Iron Fist.
slog. It was so
Yeah,
bad.
except for Iron Fist. Yeah.
Oh God, Iron Fist had its own many problems. So
Hey, so I'm gonna give you what my runner-up was real quickly, and
Yeah,
actually
yeah,
I'll
go.
give my pick it. So I'll be very quickly. I was thinking Daredevil season 2 because I really liked the portrayal of the Punisher, but Heroes season 1.
It crossed my mind. Yeah, Heroes
Yeah,
season
yeah,
1
yeah,
was pretty crazy at the time. If
Yeah.
that qualifies as a superhero show.
Right.
does,
So
it
that
does,
was
it does,
Yeah.
it does.
I always thought, because I remember people like really attaching themselves to it, and I was like, this is like, it's just a comic book.
Yeah.
Like
Yeah.
this is what
It was a rip-off of so many comic books.
Yeah.
Right.
It was a
Yeah.
phenomenon.
But it
for
worked.
sure.
It worked.
Yeah, but that season 1 was a lot. Even my wife was watching it,
Yeah.
right? Like, so yeah, that season for me, I was like, oh, I remember the water cooler chat that we don't usually have anymore.
It was
right?
it was the pre-WandaVision, like, oh, do you know what Peter Petrelli? And having these conversations.
You're in a car,
that became a thing. It's like, oh,
Nathan
Peter
Petrelli.
Petrelli. It's like, oh, this is so
Nissan Versus. Nissan
Who
Versus.
is
probably got
Siler?
rented.
That's a great example of how, it was supposed to be a mid-season show or something, and then it got renewed 3 seasons, and they had no idea with all the comics that they stirred into the pot for the first season. You telling me you couldn't come up with something cohesive for 2 and 3?
Yeah.
It honestly that show could have propelled.
Tim Krang felt
the
like he had to
genre.
up the stakes, and that was the
Yeah.
problem. You don't have
Too
to up
bad.
the stakes to
Oh.
extreme, where they had to do
Yeah.
it Illuminati style, like, oh, now we're going to talk about the 5 superheroes that run the world. I'm like, I don't care.
What was
about
it? Was it Save the Cheerleader? Was that the
Save the
Yeah,
Cheerleader,
Save the Cheerleader, Save the World.
Cheerleader.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They
Yeah.
solved that at the end, but
They
then
solved
the
that
next,
at the end of season 1, and then you're like, okay, so what now? And then they had to keep,
it was
doing
the
but
Illuminati storyline,
Yeah,
because
I
it was Peter
remember-
Petrelli's father, who was played by the great oh God, now R.I.P. rest in peace. It was the guy from Get Shorty. Who's the actor I'm thinking about? That was Peter Petrelli's dad. He was amazing in it. And then it was like George Takei and like all these like old guys. They did flashbacks of like they were part of the first
I remember
superhero
Kristen Bell was in
Illuminati.
season 2.
Yeah, that was the season where they're like, oh, superheroes, the old superheroes ran things and tried to save the world, and it fell apart. So why would
With
the new
that woman, it was brutal. I'm trying to figure out.
But who was the guy I'm talking about, Rob? The
I'm
old
trying
guy.
to, hang on, his dad.
I don't remember season
at the
2 at
store,
all.
though, like so many people came in, oh, is there Heroes comics? And there weren't, but we were able to sell them some stuff. And then DC did a Heroes graphic novel one-shot thing. And again, they failed to put the best creators on it to hook people on comics. So there was this like 2-month
art.
window from like November to December. where
Robert
people were
Forster.
coming
Robert
in.
Forster. Yes, it's from Jackie
You know.
Brown. I was like, oh, I got it wrong movie. Jackie
Jackie
Brown.
Brown.
Robert Forster played Peter Petrelli's dad, and he was so good. I was like,
Yeah.
wow. So there were moments, and
I actually want to go back and watch season 1 now because I really enjoyed season 1.
Heroes
I own season 1 on DVD, and in my mind, I'm like, oh, this is kind of like Sliders. This is like a really great show. It just ended abruptly, but that's all it is. It's like it's one season. Don't worry about anything else after.
That's how I think about Lost. One season.
That's another podcast.
Oh, that's a whole other podcast. Other podcasts where we should talk about podcasts that
You guys should.
ended way
You guys
too
should
early.
do it. We should. Yeah, people. If you want to see this Lost thing, I think Scott would be down for that. Scott G. So you guys should do it. Look at Rob's
We don't
face.
want
Rob's-
to fight the lost people.
Rob's like, meet
Rob,
you
Rob, the
outside,
booth-
back of the store, back of the school, back to schoolyard brawl.
I'll meet you outside at 3:15, even though schools nowadays don't get out until 3:45. Doesn't matter. We're leaving out early. Oh, wait, you're
Did you
virtual
guys-
school.
Did you guys
Fine.
not debate this Lost at the store? I feel like this was a common thing when Lost wrapped. I remember a lot of debates, Andre and various customers of the end of Lost.
Oh God! End of Lost, middle of Lost, everything but the first 2 seasons of Lost. They were just like,
You're an idiot.
Yeah.
They had that season 2 with Mr. Echo, and then they just
Season
ditched all those
4, season
characters.
4 and 5 were the best of that series. Listen, when Ben moves the
season
island,
1 and 2, bro.
When Ben
Actually, not
is
even
sitting
season
on-
2, season 1.
no, when Ben is on and he's moving that donkey wheel on the island going, and he says, "I hope you're happy now, Jacob," like that, and it's like, oh my God, it was trippy.
Oh God, Michael was also terrible. Let's.
Yeah, I'm gonna.
We're gonna go. Well, that's the whole thing. It's the whole thing about Lost. I gotta save my kid who's aging exponentially fast, but let's not question why he's aging in this show. Now he's a full man by the time the show's over, because time stops on the island. But no, it doesn't.
Yeah.
No, it doesn't.
Except for that kid.
Hey,
Except for that kid.
why was the polar bear there again, Rob?
This save it for the Lost podcast. I think people want to see this.
Polar bear?
It's for experiments. It doesn't have to. Who cares?
They
Who
never
cares?
referenced it again.
Sure, they did.
They did.
Did
It
they
was fine.
explain
It's for
why it was
experiments.
there?
Yes.
Experiments. Yeah.
Hit me. Maybe I missed that.
I'm gonna hit you. All right, let's move on because I'm gonna get lost under a law. I'm gonna get
To
lost.
be fair,
Rob,
there's
Rob
a
is already
lot
turning
of.
red. Rob is already turning
Yeah,
red.
to be fair, there's a lot of
Raged
TV
out
shows
now.
that-
He's like, yo.
Rob
How
will
dare
now
you
be
talk
known
about
as
Lost?
Red Hulk Cadet.
Yeah, this is to be fair. There's every TV show we love. There are plot holes that never resolved. So if we just pick Polar Bear, I'm sure an eagle-eyed fan could pick your favorite show and just pick something apart and be like, well, "What about that answer?" And you'd be like John, I got nothing. Like, what are you gonna say? Like, I got
I
nothing.
take Lost over Rebels any day of the week.
Yeah, because
You haven't even
watched
seen
Rebels.
it yet. It doesn't even count. Like, how does it
Nice.
even work? Like, you can't make that comment. It's
Whatever.
you know,
All right.
Rob. It's maybe I'll just not watch Justice League next week and be like, you know what, it wasn't for me. I just didn't see it, and then here's my reaction, and just drive you absolutely bonkers because you would just come back to you haven't even seen it. I'm like, well, it's still garbage. Hot garbage. Based on the trailers I saw, I don't have to see anything else.
DC is the worst. DC doesn't know how to make
Yeah,
a
this is,
cinematic universe.
whatever, man. It's 4 minutes. I'll never get back, and you'd be like, 4 minutes? Well, I watched the trailer. You'd be like,
I've watched the trailer twice.
yeah, you would have killed me if I don't watch 4 hours of it. So here we go. Be careful what you wish for, Rob. Okay, we're gonna jump on.
Be like, holy shit, I actually enjoyed it. I can't wait for the mea culpa.
I honestly, truly hope that's the case, but I feel like Wonder Woman 84 is in my future rather than anything else. So, you know, I, as I said before, I am so cautiously optimistic because here's the thing: we know it ends on a cliffhanger. So I'm gonna get to this movie, it's gonna finish, and I'm like, okay, so when is Green Lantern and Martian Manhunter gonna join this crew and they're gonna take on Darkseid? They're not gonna beat him. They're just gonna end where it's like it's a stalemate, and we gotta bring another team together,
You
and
know
then that's
what?
it.
That's
That's
a good thing. Maybe we should jot this down for a future podcast. Maybe we can do a podcast on the worst like season
Cliffhanger.
finales or
Yep.
worst cliffhangers that never get resolved. You
There's
know, and go
tons.
through like that would be kind of fun.
Lots of things. Oh, the number one ranking is Space Above and Beyond. I love that show, and then
Oh
it
my
ends
God,
where you're
yes.
like, oh wait, half the cast was killed, and I'm like, are they coming back? I'm like,
Yeah.
people died. I was like, is this a new show? Is what's happening? And then
No, Journeyman.
oh, Journeyman too.
Oh man, that show's great.
Kevin McKidd, that was great.
He digs up the ring.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was great.
Yeah.
He gets a newspaper, digs it in the backyard. That's a great show too. Where he was DB Cooper, another DB Cooper situation.
There you
How
go.
often can you explain the unexplained? Anyway, so we could.
All right.
There's too many good choices, Andre, that we could go on all day. So here we go to our next topic. We're going to talk about something that hopefully everyone will do in the desert of the real when things get back to normal. Talking about. A lot of times I've asked everyone about holy grails or things they've always wanted. And in the comic book world, that's what it's all about. Conventions were made on collecting a back issue or something that you've always wanted or you missed during your initial run, or you got a recommendation from Andre's like, there's the thing, but you know, they just didn't have it in stock and you had to hunt for it. Or a guy came in and he found this comic at Andre's store and he's like, oh my God, I couldn't believe you have it. I've been looking for this forever. So I'm asking everyone today on this panel about Holy Grails. Like, what's the comic story that you have about something you really wanted and it took time for you to find? Or have you found it? Have you given up? Like, as you can see, Rob has a lot of graded comics behind him. So is there something that you've always, Holy Grail that you've wanted to own? Have you given up? What's the story behind the one thing that you've hunted and hunted and hunted and either you've missed out several times or you got? So John, start us off. What's your Holy Grail story?
So I feel like my story is actually pretty cool. So we've been doing the quarantine podcast for about a year now.
Maybe it is. It's Ross to judge if it's cool or not, John.
Hey, I think so. You're a jerk. Look how red Rob is turning. He's already raging out because of this Lost thing.
Yeah, General Ross himself, General
Yeah.
Ross Cadet. We're gonna change your name to Ross Cadet as we go. That's the new. Forget the trickster. You're there. We go. John, new nickname for Rob confirmed.
Ross Cadet. All right, so be quiet, Ross Cadet.
Ross
if you're
Cadet,
wondering
yes.
who the blue Flash was, it was Pollux.
Oh God.
There you go.
Yeah, there you
Okay,
go.
thanks.
Anyways,
Thanks,
yeah,
John. Thanks,
my
John.
story is
That was
actually pretty cool. Yeah, so before the quarantine podcast, we were doing the podcast before with Stu in store, recorded. We would upload it to SoundCloud, various things, and I think we did a Holy Grail or something like "What's Your Favorite Issue" podcast.
Yep, there we did.
So mine is a book that I talked about in there. I'll reveal what the book is in a second. And I talked about it, and when me and Andre opened the store, our entire collections just went in the store and got sold off. So I talked about how I got this book, and it was sold. It was brought into the store and it was sold. So it was one of the comics that I remember more from when I was growing up. And one of my customers listened to the podcast, and I don't know if he had a copy or he went out and found a copy, and he got it for me and gave it to me.
Wow.
And I think there's other parts of the story that Andre will be able to fill in as well. But big shout outs to my good buddy Rich. And this is Uncanny X-Men number 342, and this is my first introduction to the idea of variant covers. So I bought this from Andre back in the day. There's another cover with Magneto on it. This was during one of the X-Men's heights, where Joe Madureira, who does this cover, it infused this kind of anime manga influence into comics. And I don't remember if this is the first variant or not, but I remember buying both copies from Andre, and it was just a weird occurrence that it was something that was completely foreign to me, buying the same issue twice because the cover was different. I don't know if you remember anything about this issue, Andre. Was it like a rarity or 50-50 or anything? I think like that?
it was a 50-50 thing. The other cover was Magneto floating on the asteroid, and it was really cool.
Asteroid
Magneto.
M.
Yeah. So they were, if I do remember correctly, they were 50-50, but that cover obviously was more sought after and went fastest. But yeah, it's just
if you listen to the audio, this is a very anime influenced Rogue, which was Joe Madureira's kind of bread and butter. He would bring these very stylized characters and would later on create battle chasers and all kinds of things. But yeah, sorry, go on, Andre.
Yeah, no, it was just I think it was probably one of the first returning to alternate covers in a little while, because if you remember, X-Men #1 from Jim Lee had the 4 covers.
Okay, yeah, you're right.
And then Batman Legends of the Dark Knight, Legends of the Dark Knight in 1989 had 4 different color covers. They were cyan, blue, pink, and something else, but they didn't change the art, right? So, but we hadn't seen that particular thing on an X-Men comic for a while, and also as a regular variant. I think at the time there was a company, it was American Entertainment or Dynamic Forces, was doing variant covers that you had to order online for some of those books around that time. But yeah, definitely a nice hot spot.
So it's pretty cool. It's got nice heritage. Stu made this possible by creating that topic back in the day. And my buddy Rich came through and just grabbed it for me out of nowhere and gave it to me. So and now it's staying in my collection forever.
Nice. That's cool. That's a cool story. Rob.
So Rob, was that a cool story or not?
Yeah, that was a cool story, buddy.
All right, yeah.
Cool story, bro. Yeah, there we go.
I see the red has subsided. We're back to you wouldn't like me when I'm angry, Rob.
It's simmering. It's simmering, bro. That's really what it is.
It's you're like Thor. It's a simmering rage of hot fire.
I'm married with kids. It's always simmering. It's an interesting question that you've posed, because I think that the problem with grails is that everybody's individual grail will always change. You're going to get that item that you're always looking for, and then there's going to come a moment where you're like, now I have something else I want to attain, right? I always wanted so John really got me onto Saga or Sega, if you were Andre, and I always wanted the first print
9.8
of number 1 and a 9.8, right? But that's not my grail. My grail is one that, it's funny that John mentioned X-Men. So this came out in 1988. It was the summertime. It was about June or July, I think, because the print run was published September, but it was June. This was a cover that I have 3 copies, and they're all reader copies. Like, they're beat up to all hell. I've been trying to find a nice graded copy. I missed out on an eBay auction 2 years ago on it. So all I have is this one, but it's Uncanny X-Men 234.
Nice.
I read, this is like a 3-issue arc. I read the Brood right? And this is like a Mark Silvestri cover.
Mm.
And for whatever reason, for me, like I love this cover. Like to me, it's like perfect for me. If I was to ever find it, in a nice 9.8, I would have it and I would keep it. A lot of these other books that you see behind me, even there's ones that you guys can't see. As much as I enjoy them and I like having them, I'm probably going to be selling these off this year. Because I've enjoyed them, and I think they should go to somebody else, another collector or whatever, right? So, but yeah, this is one book that if I was ever finding a nice graded copy, I would keep it because I feel
like we've had those in the shop before.
it means something to me as a kid. I was 12 years old, and not to get too inside baseball, but it was one of the last few times I think I went camping with my dad. Before my parents split, it was just like I remember that summer was just kind of a crazy summer, and I remember being a nice hot summer. It was just perfect. And I actually, if I remember correctly, that was also the year of the hurricane that hit Barrie, Ontario, or the tornado, sorry, that hit Barrie, Ontario. So I just remember being in the tent or in the camper trailer, just reading the X-Men Brood series over and over and over again. So yeah, for me, my holy grail is Uncanny X-Men 234.
So if anyone has
in a
leads,
9.8 condition,
let them know. Let Rob know if anyone has a lead. So there we go. That's great, and it's a nice story.
Pretty good, Rob.
That's a good one. It's a good one. It's a golf clap quietly in the background. Golf clap in the background. Good one. Andre, what do you have for us? What's your story?
All right. So unfortunately, my story is a little sad. It too is about the store, but my favorite comic book character that I was able to collect 98% of the run for was Iron Man. And back in the late 90s, let me see, I don't remember exactly when, but I did obtain an Iron Man #1. Not a high grade, maybe it was a 7, maybe 6 or 6 to 7. Definitely not a 9.8 or a 9 or an 8 or but I was able to buy it, and I had it. Like John said, when we got to the store, when we opened the store, we brought our whole collections into the store and stuff. So that comic's probably still my grail, but I would never be able to afford it now and stuff. And unfortunately, when you start a business or you're young, John and I were a little naive and trusting, and we had hired somebody, and this person stole a lot of stuff from us in the first couple of months. A couple of months that we were in business and stuff, and that was a casualty of that. And it, I think the worst part of it was that we were still good natured. Like I still remember that day, and I remember calling, like, because we caught him red-handed. I remember calling his father and saying, "Look, we're not going to press charges. Just give us back our stuff. We want our stuff back, right?" And I thought we were being fair, we were being nice, and we never heard back from that father, and we never heard back from that guy. And we could have ruined his life because he was of the age where that's a criminal record, permanent stain and stuff. And it's been a long time, and it has I don't think about it all the time, but when I do think about it and stuff, I do get a lot of this anger. And I think, and maybe it's not right to say, but I think if I ever did see this guy on the street, my first instinct would be to deck him, because he didn't realize what he took, not from just me, but from John and myself. Like we were young guys opening store, giving me chance. Like, so we are super, super like, tight when we think about trusting what we have and stuff like that. And I put that blame on him. And also, going forward, if that ever happens again, we'll never give that person the benefit of the doubt. We catch somebody doing that, that's called the police. I'm sorry. I don't care what your situation is, and stuff. And that's, like I said, so it's like, I don't, not to bring a downer to this, because we've been having a great conversation, but that's it. And again, look at how popular Iron Man is now. Like I would never be able to go back and get that book. And also, unfortunately, once that broke my collection, I didn't keep the whole run after that, so a lot of that stuff, and it was a prized possession because there wasn't much stuff that John and I kept for ourselves, but having Iron Man. Like there was, maybe a dozen issues in between, but to be one to, I think at the time it was 300 that I had. Boom, right? So, yeah.
Okay. All right. Well, we're gonna.
Wait, Stu, your Grail. Do you have a Grail?
Yeah. I'm just thinking off the top of my head.
Booster Gold first appearance?
No. Mine was, I think, Andre, you brought up before. It was
Iron Man #1.
No. It was Thanos' Quest. That was my the full complete run. So I had the trade paperback, but I was like, I want the individual issues. I don't care what condition they are. I just want them. And when I was helping you guys at the Toronto Fan Expo, during my little lunch break, I wandered around and I found the 6 issues for like $15. And I'm like, boop, that. So I bought it and I was like, and it's there. So it's not a grade or anything. It's just a reader copy that I enjoy. I just like the individual, book of it. I have it in trade paperback and I have them in single issues. And I thought it was really well done and I really enjoyed it. I think for me, it was just, I wanted just to read it again before the hype that is Thanos, which is now. So, and then for a while, like Andre said, it was really hard to find. It wasn't something that was easily who cared about Thanos at before Endgame. So so that was the thing.
You know what? I will segue into something that is also really cool. So while not necessarily a grade, like a Grail, not grade, but one of my pride possessions now of comics was my favorite comic book series of all time is Planetary. And we got the omnibus version of that. So I got a copy of that, and a really good friend of mine, Tiziano, was going to a con, I think in Europe somewhere. And he's like, I'm going to be able to meet Cassaday and Warren Ellis.
Yeah.
And I'm like, okay, this thing weighs a ton, but can you take this and get it signed for me? And he did, and he got it signed, and it's awesome because if you guys know Planetary, it's a story of 3 adventurers, but there was a 4th adventurer who was missing in action, and they signed it to Andre, the 5th man.
Yeah, nice.
And that was it. And I'm like, boom. So that is just I will like a pharaoh. I will get buried with that. So I just love it.
Except you're being cremated.
Yeah.
It's awkward.
But for Planetary, I own all the issues, the 2 hardcovers, the absolutes, and the omnibus. But but that particular one, I would let them all go if I had to, except for that stays forever.
I would love to know what everybody else, people who listen, who watch this, let us know what your Grails are in our comment section. Because that's what I think about Grails. As Andre said, it changes. I got some omnis behind me. Man, I want to get that Death of the Life Return of Superman omni. It's like a whale now. It's almost impossible to find, right? So these things change, and so I would love to know what everybody else, people who are listening or who are watching, what their Grails are.
DC JLA Avengers. Good luck finding that. That thing is man. That's like you said. That's what is that? The your white whale or your
it's the whale. That thing is.
Like you said, Rob, it's a continual moving target, and some people get it, some people don't. It just all varies, but it's good to find the stories behind it, because that's why we are in the hobby and we care, and that's why you go to your local store. That's why you go to conventions. That's why you meet people and you go to not only just the big cons, but the weirdo small ones outside, when it was
never know what you're gonna find.
It's truly about comic books. It's like you never know when you go antiquing, you go to a store and it's like, they've been in comics, and then you see something and you're like, oh my god, they have this. It's really just unique, and that's why it's fun to go adventuring and going into stuff. If the partner is driving you out to antique, sometimes they do have just a bin of comic books, and you just go through them. You're like, okay, shout outs
to a good friend of the shop, Matt.
You look at the the antique tea sets, and I'm going to look at these comic books, and you sit there and review these comic books, and sometimes you're like, wow, you find something fun,
some pretty good keys in there,
and sometimes you don't. Or when you used to go to the Pickering Flea Market, RIP, when you could find some interesting books there, just random books, not high grade, not worthwhile books, but just, I remember finding a bunch of like old Frank Miller books in there. I'm like, Daredevil. I'm like, you know what? They're not worth anything, but hell, I want to buy some.
But you want to own them.
Just
It
have
doesn't
some of them,
matter.
right?
Doesn't matter if they're yellowed or the
Oh, yeah.
cover's creased. You just wanted to read it. You're just like, wow, this is
Want to
Frank
read it.
Miller's
It's
Daredevil. Yeah,
100%. And that's what it's about. So like, as much of it's collecting, it's about also enjoying the story and reading the arcs and getting the nuance of the character. So good luck to everyone out there, as Rob's point. Let us know, but good luck to all you guys continuing. And hopefully, as the quarantine stuff comes to an end, we'll have an opportunity to again venture out in the world and look for our holy grails. That's something to look forward to. So there we go. John and Andre, where can we find more of you guys in the real world?
Yeah. So Heroes World Online, the website is now up and running and all linked to the same kind of searchable term, which is Heroes World Online, Facebook, Instagram, and YouTube. So if you're watching on the YouTube, please give us a sub and turn on the notifications so you can know when we go live. We're doing a lot of kind of random stuff lately, and whenever a new episode of this pops up. And if you're listening on the audio, Apple iTunes, definitely give us a 5-star rating if you don't mind, and write a review.
Awesome. Andre?
All right. So by the grace and good fortune of everybody in kind of York region and Toronto, and hopefully Toronto soon, cases are down and we are back open. Oh my God, hallelujah. It feels really good. So if you are in our neck of the woods, we are conveniently located at 8601 Warden Avenue. Said that's in Markham, Ontario. We've got all our safety measures in place. We are open for you to come in and browse. We have a store limitation. We've got hand sanitizer. Everybody be a superhero and mask up. If you can't mask up, we will definitely still serve you via curbside pickup, but you won't be allowed in the store without a mask. So bring a mask on your way. And stuff. We look forward to seeing all the people back in person again. Even though we can't see your smiling faces, we'll see your smiling eyes, and know that John and myself are smiling too, because it's been what a journey. This is it's been hard not to do what we love, and what we love is to interact with you, our customers, and the fans of comic books and stuff. And I remember, was last Saturday, John, we people came in and we sold people their first comic books, that they're getting in. And yesterday we had, as taping this, we had a family bring their 2 young kids into their first comic book experience. I think there was 2 different people, and oh my God, like that, that is food for my soul. That's why we do it. We're not in it, John, we're not millionaires yet, right?
No, not that I'm aware.
We won't be millionaires, but we will be able to share in people's stories, and it's just about putting that first Batman Adventures comic into a 3 or 4 year old's hands and seeing them be super excited, or they find the action figure and stuff like that. So man, it feels really good to be back at the store. So give us a call or reach out to us on social media. And if you are in our neck of the woods, come by, check us out. We've been modifying and retrofitting the store, so it's getting there. It's looking really good.
Awesome. Rob?
Yeah, so as John said, you can find us on YouTube, on Spotify and Apple, iTunes. Every Monday, John and I are doing the Heroes World Sidekick Show live at 8 o'clock on YouTube, Facebook, and Twitch. Tomorrow is we have been, the last couple of weeks, been our road to the Snyderverse. I mean, we've talked about the Snyderverse JL cut coming out this week. Tomorrow on Monday, we are actually going to be re-reviewing the current Justice League movie that we have, that was pretty much directed by Joss Whedon. So join us. We've rewatched it. We're going to review it. We're going to talk about it. What your thoughts are, John, what my thoughts, everybody else who participate. Thank you so much. We love the interaction with everybody who watches live, and sometimes they're off on their own tangent of conversation. And John and I are now, we suddenly instead of becoming hosts, we're now looking at the comments going, oh my God, that's so funny. So please join us. It's a lot of fun, and you can catch us there.
Awesome. So again, to everyone, please be safe out there. Please support local, and we will see you all in our mega sized issue next week.
Yeah, make sure you watch Snyder Cut, Falcon Winter Soldier. Invincible follows soon afterwards as well.
wow.
So
26.
you're gonna have a lot of homework, folks.
3 hours of Invincible for the first episode. So
Yeah, it's going to be a lot. So, needless to say, it's going to be a lot of content coming your way. So, thank you all for watching. We'll see you all again, and peace out. See you later.
Right.
Bye, everyone.
Thank you
Take
again,
care,
Stu.
everyone.
Bye.
Nanu.